Hey folks, Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Now, the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you first and foremost by the simple. Thank you for the like. The Simple Sword, written by myself, Nicholas A. Tuckert. It's available on Amazon. It is the easiest, fastest, simplest way to learn the basics of Western martial arts swordplay, and it's a Rosetta Stone for across different groups. It is also brought to you by the Big Stompy Robots line of games, which this is actually the standard cover. This is the original cover. I'm showing that as a special for you guys. It is also brought to you by my lovely patrons, namely Stephen Augusto, Cindy Kep, and that's author Cindy Kep at www.ckoepp.com, and the effervescent Brian K. Morris. So, guys, thank you for your support. My patrons have recently received a video highlighting what next week will feature, as well as some gift art, actually, in thanks. So if you guys who are patrons haven't been by my patron page, there should be links. There was one issue with the AI we'll fix sometime tonight. All right, so let's get going. You may notice I'm a touch more sedate than usual. That is because I went in for some medical testing today, which involved a vast quantity of electroshock nerve testing. Basically, needles were stabbed into me, electrified to see what nerves fired where. Here she is to save the day. The beautiful Cindy Kep has joined us. Hi, Cindy. It's great seeing you. So yeah, Cindy got to see the goodie that's coming, and I did promise my patrons whenever I do a non-live video, if at all possible, I will share it. Steve Clausen says, I hate that test. Yes, they did all four of my limbs and back multiple times because there was some discrepancy. Some of that will affect the show. You may notice me making stranger hand gestures than usual. They were verifying that apparently I have carpal tunnel rather severely in both my hands, which is why I drop things. So I'm laughing, but it seems having your hands flop about like a fish is enough to make them rather sore. Yeah, so I also being my nature, I'm a little more staticky because electricity and I tend to get along a little better than I should. So if you notice I'm moving funny or I sound a little less than my usual chipper self, it's not that I'm not chipper nor energetic. It's just I'm dealing with the pain and pretty much relative aftershocks. Whew, guys, it was quite a day. Now, before we get into me doing my usual shtick, I want to send out heartfelt concern and support for Julie Miner. Yeah, hi, John. Yeah, Julie Miner is the wife of John Miner, dear friend and awesome, awesome individual, and she's had some complications with uh, with uh, COVID related, which, oh no, Amazon, YouTube won't like it. I don't care. Uh, the that very real, and she's having some problems. So I hope you can keep her, and our beloved Trelena Bachman also is down with a milder case than her, but a very severe case yet of the 2020 danger virus. So, I don't usually pull like the whole pray for folks, but guys, if you pray, light a candle, whatever, these are good people, and keep them warm in your thoughts. Now, obviously, the expanding. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry. Hey, Julie, get feeling better so I can flirt with you inappropriately. What's my life if I'm not flirting inappropriately with my dear friends? But all right. Now, ooh, I hope you guys got to hear that. That was nice. Anytime a joint can flex out of socket is always amusing. What we're going to talk about. First off, for those of you who don't know, last night I spent a vast amount of time online on the Stupid O'Clock show hosted by Joe Dog and Keel. Had a wonderful time. They've asked me to come back. Yeah, sorry about that, Cindy. I usually try not to revel or you know mention my own limitations too heavily on this program because my job's to help other people. That being said, you may see some new adaptations coming up in gear and methodology for my own fighting if it is to be able to continue. And that will go pretty much as long as I can. And if I can't, I'll just teach because that's what I am. It's past a who. So, I bet it sounds like too wet 2x4. Cindy kept said, I know this phenomenon. You should hear my hip when it misbehaves. Yeah, when mine goes out, it sounds like two wet 2x4s coming together. But yes, we are. I am not about bumming people out, even when I'm in pain, which is why, of course, I didn't cancel the show. I mean, who do you think I am? Now, I will say this as fair warning, and I'm going to lead up because I'm going to miss 2 weeks in a row. I will be missing Christmas night for religious reasons. That being that if I try to live stream Christmas night, my wife will kill me and I will get to meet God far sooner than I intended. And New Year's Eve, most likely for very similar reasons. Old marrieds know better sometimes. Thank you guys for the watch. Thank you for the likes. So, what we're going to talk about. Like I said, I was on that show. It was a great time. I hope you guys get a chance to look up Stupid O'Clock. I will try to get the link in the gobbledygook at the end of this. And I will be doing some other things. What's up? Well, like I said, John Miner hooked me up colossally. And it came Monday. Now, some of the problems I've had delayed it, and obviously I'm not... Fine muscle motor skills are not my strength today. I'm Kurt Wagner. Yeah, I'm the Nightcrawler. But that happens when these two get going. He's amazing, very cool toy. See, Cindy Kemp knows because she's a patron. And I'm going to try, unless there's a really pressing reason otherwise, to give my patrons a week head start, at least, on seeing any videos I shoot that aren't live. I feel I need to do something special for them, and that seems a good way because I'm not taking from you guys. I'm just delaying because I'm a one-man war on gatekeeping, even for my own profit. I will not do that. But yes, the new toy is great. I will do probably one more related video, assuming I can get some of the fine muscle control back, and then I'm planning some, possibly if John isn't opposed to a modification video. And the reason I'm saying this is my wife saw this item, and if you ever wanted proof that I married the right woman, her first thought was, so that's going up in the living room, right? And I'm like, yeah, yes, dear. Because sometimes that magic 7 letters that every husband should know. Yes, dear. There is a time for that. And boy, was that it. Because, that's cool. But, so, I kind of hate sitting on that. But, so between now and, Christmas and the end of 2020, I might plan some surprises just to offset some of the lack of live stream. I don't think anybody will be too annoyed. One thing I really want, and this is homework. This is homework for my viewers, because I've had, with the danger virus and everything, I've had to change a lot of my formatting because a lot of it was, hey, cool, we got people. And now we know why I fail so spectacularly. Sorry, Steve. Uh, but maybe next time is the charm, and we'll go with that because I don't want to. I don't want to get either of us in any more trouble than is absolutely necessary. That being said, this week, wow, what are we going to discuss? I actually have a bit of a disaster that happened I have to talk about, and it wounds me, but these things happen. I have, I'm going to hop on. I haven't, until about an hour ago, my hand wasn't working well enough to really properly navigate. Uh, ooh, I have to think about that. Uh, Thank you, Cindy. She just sent me an offline message I have to talk about. And since I don't know if it's a pluggable service thing, I won't do that right now. But I will get back to you on that. Um, we're coming up to a really neat period because the Black Friday sales didn't quite happen right. That whole wind up system is kind of breaking down. I don't think that's a bad thing. But I do want to do my weekly check in on Purple Heart Armory to see if they have the picture for the rapier. So I will be doing that over here while I'm talking at you. Let's see. Boom. I love that all I have to do is hit the word W and Purple Heart Armory comes on. But see, we've got some new stuff or new. The padded longswords from SPES are coming. So basically, what they are high-end buffers, which are a bit safer. That's exciting news. I'm really glad to see that because they have a lot of fans. It's sturdy, but it's soft. That's kind of what we want in training gear, especially for people who are learning calibration. John Miner says shop will be doing some work to restart work over the weekend. Back from Penn early. Hey, that's awesome. Um, John, please, if you don't have a website, please consider setting up a website, even if it's just a gallery of your crafts. And so I have a tangible thing to plug because I can tell folks to go to Cindy Kep's uh, wonderful author page. That's www.CKOEPP only two. I have typoed that before .com and look at her stuff. I can say go to risingtide.pub to get a good feel on Brian K. Morris's stuff. Steve should be working on a project that I'm looking forward to supporting, and I know Swakhammer Metals has been an ongoing thing for a long time, but I think it might be time to step into at least the custom online field because I think we could generate some customers here. You do. I mean, it's battered and it's from a long time ago, but he made this beautiful crossguard, which when my hands are working again, I I will do the restoration video where I clean it up. I think I might even reblue it. It needs some work, but that's coming. There's some craft videos that are coming, especially with Christmas just around the corner and other giving holodays. Yule, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Katanika is coming up for the ninja for the ninjas among us. You know, a few other holidays, Festivus, wherein then you just get good cool stuff for yourself, whatever. But I want to try to low cost idea crafts, kind of like what I did, I believe last week when I showed how to make a cheap, easy version of that $200 training system, which is now currently up in my transition arch from my living room to my dining room because it's good enough. I thought, well, why not just put it up and put it to use when I can? But nope. Now, John, I don't know if you've looked into the basic Rapier V1 still has no picture. I'm sorry, I got caught up with some of the necessities. I'll try and hound Christian Dorst over at Purple Heart to see if I can get him to please put a picture up because people are asking. But that those padded longswords make it good, and they do have a really neat cup hilt rapier that I do not know if it is SCA legal or not. So I will defer to the marshalate of that organization to see if it's legal. 300 is expensive, but it is beautiful. So we'll see. Um, we whew, we've got a lot to discuss though, guys. Um, right now is the transition period. For me, a lot of my crafting gets winding up to do the Christmas crafts this time of year, where I'm making small gifts for people, and we'll be doing a lot of that. But once the snow hits, old Scadians and like tend to get um, armor buildy. So we need to talk about basic armoring. And that's what I'm going to set up some videos to do. I want to do videos on simple gorget making using a modified version of Dennis Yakus's pattern. I want to do at least bracers. I know people have trouble finding good forearm protection that they like. We have a few other projects, but the best thing you guys can do for me is give me a crumb and I'll give you a loaf of bread when it comes to subject matter, because we this is a discussion. Now, I will hold out as long as I can tonight. The show must go on, but I may also be having some problems. I'm looking to see how how things are working. So if I have to cut out, I'm going to apologize ahead of time and give everybody fair warning. This is one of those occasions, so to speak. I do want to remind, because somebody was looking for a short trainer that they could buy, and I want to remind them that I think it's Jawu or Wuja. I'm sorry, sometimes my dyslexia and Romanji overlap, but this is a very nice, low cost, unforgiving but solid little trainer, and it has a knuckle guard. I'm really looking to find more trainers with knuckle guards. New rules are if it looks like a sword and meets the flex, then it is a legal sword as long as it waddles and quacks like a... Really? Really? Wow. Huh. I wonder, because I know there was some rumblings about concern that only certain manufacturers were being allowed for less than chivalrous reasons. Steve will resend the Amazon link. Cool. But Steve sent me this, and this is an amazing little sword for people who really, this is what, if you wanted to buy a sword, light, cheap, easy to go, that you could drill in indoors, this is one of my favorite models because it's relatively inexpensive. It does have a rather profound belly, and I may I'm trying to decide if I like the orthopedics of the grip or not. So very soon you guys are likely to see me modifying and making a whole lot of new hilts for the weapons that I can switch out that are a little more orthopedic, orthotic, whatever, that are basically more comfortable for what's left of my wrists. Guys, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've taken a beating doing it. I'm paying the price. That makes sense. John says that's why the new rules to stop the thing. One thing I'd love to see them actually codify in the Marshal's Handbook is the process of becoming a Marshal. At least in my time, that was one of the few things that was not detailed in the Marshal's Handbook. And not that it applies to me, but I would really love to see that be made available and clear so what happened to me can't happen to somebody else. because I think it's necessary. Is that a bold step for me to say? Yeah, but I'm in a bit of pain, so it makes me just that extra bit honest. I start switching from bubbly Nick to I'm not full. Oh, did it? John, can you send me the link, please? Offline. The new rule book just came out. And he's referencing the Middle Kingdom fencing, probably the Middle Kingdom's Light Marshal's Handbook, I believe is the proper term. Or Rapier Marshal's Handbook. God, it's been a long time. I used to have the old one memorized chapter and verse, but that's a long time ago. So it'll be interesting to see what's evolving and what's changing. So thank you. Because, yeah, I think I wouldn't have had the problems I had it been properly codified. And I'm fully comfortable saying that. I do believe if marshals came to my home again, at this point, they would find a very different style of greeting. But Middle Kingdom Rapier Manual. Okay, cool. But thank you. I do like to stay abreast of the rules of the different organizations. I eventually want to have a website resource where everybody can be like, oh, I want to look at something like okay, you want to do AmpGuard, you want to do Canarak, you want to do SCA, you want to do HEMA, ARMA, etc. A condensed version of their rules and regulations that's all accessible for context and comparison might be a really useful resource. Front towards enemy? Claymore? What? Who deployed the Claymore Roombas? Not that I have a problem with Claymore Roombas. AI is coming and it's cheaper than what the Russians are building, which we're not going to discuss because who wants to talk about AK power wielding kill drones? Although, it's that time of year when everyone's thoughts go to AK power wielding kill drones. So I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm trying to get my hands back in shape, so you're going to see me doing a little. Whoa, there went my cane. A little bit more fidgeting than usual as I try to find the right exercises to loosen up my hands. Pointy-ended opponent. John, I don't know if you've seen this. Heck, I don't think. Well, Steve may have seen this. Let's see. Was it last year? Last year. Not 20 in the old times before the plague came. I was at the 4th of July. There was this festival in Fowler, which is not far from here, Fowler, Indiana, and they had a knife booth selling, the best of Bud K's leftovers. And I got no problem with that. Those guys keep people happy, and I think everybody's bought something. And I was walking around missing Benny, who was my old favorite merchant, and I do miss that man. And I saw something I had to buy because it was just so Nick. So I will show you this. I did not have it on hand for the video last night when people were talking knives, and certainly the more colorful stuff that happened after the public camera went out. But I do have this. And this little guy I am laughing because it is about the length of my index finger. So, because I don't have a ruler and I'm an American. So it is a little tiny, itty bitty. Isn't it cute? And this is a felony in some states. And I will never stop saying that. Be afraid. The knife opens with a button push. This guy is more legal in most places because it's less concealable. And it's funny because I wear it out open on my belly. And I think because it's green, nobody takes it seriously. Because when I wore my black one, can I give one to my grandson? It is called. I couldn't make this, folk. this stuff up, folks. It is called a Defender Extreme. And so I'll hold that up so you can. It's extreme without the E because it's that extreme. And it has a little call sign just to tell you about the steel. And, I assume that's a model number. So there you go, Steve. You can write that down. And if you want to get one for your grandson, you go right. I can't stop you. Very festive. Yes, thank you. We want to be festive. And, but yes, I wanted to bring this out because it's just such a happy, cheerful little knife. I am half tempted to make a whole bunch of little trainers based on this deployed for S&G as as stocking stuffers. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to see what what opportunities I have to distribute things. So who knows? But so that's a lot of what's up in my world. One of the big things I've been watching is that the whole business with ZWA, because it's really I'm having fun, mind you. Let me get to it with the fact that they've renamed their weapons and that they've made I believe it's called the companion short sword. You are the Bob Ross of blades. Look! It's a happy little switchblade. Now remember, there are no bad cuts. There are only happy accidents. If I got known as the Bob Ross of blades, I would take that as a prize and a half. But then again, I get called the Bob Ross of a great many things. And folks, that's sorry. I can only absorb enough electricity to not have the random zots, and it just happens. But yeah, I am actually rather sedate, and I'm not sure I want to be, but we'll get there. It looks like a wannabe Claymore. It is a wannabe switchblade. It just doesn't have it's a single-edged knife. Now, I will tell you guys this. As a knife guy, a knife tool as a tool guy, I do usually prefer single-edged knives. Now, there's nothing wrong with a double-edged knife for something that makes sense, like a thrower. A double-edged thrower, I believe this one got shot. I'm not kidding. I think Jim shot it to see what would happen. I haven't quite figured that out. But, that's fine because it makes sense for it to be double-edged. It has a nice guard, yay. But it's much harder to knife with it. Now, if I pull a knife, similar weight, similar balance, similar style, boink. This goofball, while it is narrowed on the spine to give a beveled false edge, which has visually fooled me a little bit in the past, it's like, okay, I could knife with this. I could use this reasonably to do things. It doesn't quite have as much guard as I like because I am rather phobic of sliding up a handle and catching myself. It's just one of those things. Woo! But this is something I could genuinely use to make, craft, cook. I talked to Steve, and as soon as I do, I'm like, yes, let's do some knife, chopping knife work, not knifing knife work. Dang it, Steve! But yeah, we're gonna have. This is a great time, and I say this is a great time because I believe in spite. I'm a very big proponent of spite. And we are coming into the time of year where we will have a choice. I'm going to be trying to make some better decisions. And it's not that, it's New Year's resolutions. Steve is just a cook. Okay, Steve, if you're just a cook, I'm just a guy with some dice, okay? Like, There we go. Nick defined, you know? Uh, Steve is many things, but he is not just a cook. Although he is a hell of a cook. You know, as is John. It's funny how many knife and sword guys are also really into the culinary arts. It's interesting. I wonder if it's because it's one of the socially acceptable reasons to be carrying a whole case of knives. Yeah, I wonder about that, you know? It makes me ponder. And, you know, I'm sure Knifey, the Knife of Irony, totally agrees with that. But I'm just a pot stirrer. Right, right. Guys, okay, these glasses, they make me see things with the yellow tint, and it helps when my vision goes grayscale, which is a thing I deal with. Uh, they're not like brown lenses, you know. I don't. They will not filter that quantity of rampant BS. That's not what we're about. So, what we are about, guys. I want it. It takes in the broken. Yeah, taking in the broken, folks, are what we're about. I mean, that's sort of the mission, and I find myself um walking along a road I've worked hard largely to prepare for others. It is an interesting secondary journey because I am probably the most mobile I've been since you know 2 o'clock when I got home from my tests. Basically, they jump started a bad day in nearly every system. And it was scary. And it reminded me of what it's like when a system goes down because I adapt. Oh, I have a message here. Oh, actually, I got a message from uh, Steve Augusta, who I don't know if you're watching the live stream, Steve. The reason I went tiefling was you wanted that overset cross between species and kind of a fiery vibe, and that screamed tiefling for me. I didn't want to go straight dragonborn. I think that's a little overdone to answer that question. And I will message that to him when I'm not doing this. But yeah, this is totally not another fidget spinner in any way, shape, or form. Although I got a big box of those. Let me see. There we go. Version of my favorites. You know, I didn't used to like Karambits at all. I'll be honest, I found them rather annoying. But dang it, Steve has mildly converted me to tolerating them as at least an pushing it, Nick. Hold on. But let's see. Is everything that's it's mostly in socket. That's cool. But we there we go. You have to no. You have to keep yourself going, and you have to find what works for you and what you can do with broken systems. And guys, how many times have I told you, if you, as long as I can get a sword strapped to you, I can make a system work. So naturally, you guys will get to watch in progression as I find, identify, and deal with assorted problems. My answers to this, because um, I am many things, but I try very often to avoid being a hypocrite. Nobody's perfect at that, but I try. And what I want is to figure out what I can do with what I have. What grips are comfortable, what grips aren't. What styles will work better for me as I move. And it's interesting that John's gift, which I so want to talk about tonight, but I said I'd wait a week, so I'm gonna wait a week. So next week I'm going to do the big reveal because I want to make sure my patrons get a chance to see it. And of course, Steve Clausen knows what I'm talking about because I think I sent him the secret link. And yes, if you are a Patreon member, you'll get the secret link to whatever I'm up to shady as well. because the trick is figuring out what you can do with what you have, guys. And that takes dedication, it takes versatility, and it takes a willingness to endure. Now, these are not popular terms, but if I'm not when I say anyone can learn to fight, I never say anyone can learn to fight easily. I'll say simply, because one of the great truths in life, one of the things I agree intently with my father on, is the concept life isn't easy, but it's simple. If you want something, okay, you have to go out there and get it. If it means something to you, you got to build up either yourself or others to get on the level of that path. And as you do, you're going to change yourself and kind of change your personal frequency. Nice. It costs less than 25. Nice. Now, John, since you're here, I hope you don't mind. I may pretty it up a bit because, like I said, Amanda wants it on the wall, and she gave me that look that she gives me, and you know the look where it's like, I want it on the wall, make it nice. So once I do a demo and what it looks like, I'm going to do a little bit of decor to it because John makes amazing. You know what you need a house elf grade apprentice at your place who can sit and get into the fine places that your sausage fingers can't get, and do things like that. Because that's beautiful. I want to show them and I can't, and it's killing me. I'm the guy who has to be careful about Christmas presents because I buy them and then I want to hand them to people immediately. Because I'm like, I want you to feel joy right now, and I can't. So, yeah, I'm a big kid. I'll admit it. Big kid. Big kid. I need to check because I've heard some rumors that Wu Jar, I say it wrong, but it's the same guys who made this, and you'll see the little logo. Let me see if I can get that little logo. The guys who made this, they made this guy. I think it's the same logo. That's a different logo, but this guy. There's some more. They're supposed to be coming out with some more weapons, and interestingly, if you collect goblins, they do a good job. That is hazardous, Steve. Collecting goblins is hazardous because I happen to have a friend who's a goblin bard, and she admits this. She's comfortable with this. She's a mutual associate, and I'd almost be afraid to attempt to collect her or something like her. I don't have enough shiny math rocks and distractions. So, collect goblins at your own risk, guys. But I do enjoy the small species, the goblins, the gnomes. They're just, the hobbitses are just really cool folks. Steve says we've met. Yes, I consider doing what I can to help her embrace both her nature and the fact that it's okay. Because I want to tell you something, guys, and I'm not trying to be a nut job here. But you have to figure out what you're about and be it, or fight it tooth and nail. But you have to address it. And an unexamined mind it's wasted time. An unexamined life? Is that living if you're just floating around unaware of your place or what it means? So we find parallels. I have known people who, like, you can use D&D terms to just sort of shortcut what they're like. And the individual we're talking about, we know her. Her name's Steph. She's a regular here. She's a great little fighter, great fun. I miss her dearly. Is a goblin bard, and that's awesome. We need more of that. We need people to embrace their inner, I am affectionately referred to as a hobbit in certain circles, and I'm okay with that. I was affectionately referred to as a gnome many years ago because I was a long-haired, skinny little thing with a penchant for hats. But I look much more like a garden gnome these days. Like I can see I collect. John Miner just said I collect axe wielding dwarves. She has a bit of that energy too. A dwoblin? Would a dwoblin be a thing? If it's not, it needs to be. But yeah, I could, with the right group, if you brought the meatball out, I could bring the Italian meatball out. We can get you a whole line of axe wielding dwarfesses. Great fun people. And actually a lot of axe wielders, come to think of it. Axes are very popular. That's why as I get through the holidays, I tend to work more on the axe as a manual. I've just got a lot of floating projects. I'm checking off the little ones, the ones I can get done. My wall of knowledge, which is a growing line of post-it notes that contain the arcane secrets of what I'm up to at any given point, which no, I will not show you. Where's axes? I got a couple over. Where's that little axe? Can't find the little axe. I have a really nice little axe, but this guy, guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If somebody were to ask me my top 3 trainers that aren't swords, this would probably. Ooh, wow. The Cold Steel Parry Dagger, the Cold Steel Trenchhawk Trainer, and the Cold Steel Buckler. Let me ask you a question. Oi. Let me ask you a question. Your mama sew? Stitch that. But, now see, dwarf makes sense to me too. Like, there are a few problems that can't be solved with a short-handled sledge. May not be solved properly, but do not underestimate the value of a short-handled sledge applied repetitively to a problem. Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. Oh, God, Cindy Kemp, that's beautiful. Oh no. Oh no, Steve. A real one will be on my stoop Friday. Oh no. I might have to do a live unboxing on the show. Would that be something you all want to see? I'll see if I can not open it till then. If it comes Friday, I'll see if I can not open it till then. But that makes me incredibly happy because these make me happy. John Miner just said, start at a tome, the Grimoire of Swakhammer Metals. Thank you, John. Torvald Swakhammer Miner. Thank you. Thank you, Sir John. I'll pull out your proper title. Not SCA, sir, but actual real world organization, sirs. That is what I need to see. Because, guys, when you have something you're passionate about, when you are rolling, and you know what you love and what you're about, and you have knowledge that could be lost, write that down. Oh. Wait. Steve, you said I'm putting it there? Is that a delivery? Like Big Odin style? Are you rolling up like a certain slender wanderer? Because I need to know so I can get like things in proper order. I have not had a visitor since March due to the danger bug virus. Well, no, we social distanced outside, but I was visited by the great Brian K. Morris. Oh, I will tell the boss. Excellent. Excellent. I did not realize that much time had passed. We will definitely be making arrangements. Whew. Wow. Not at all slender, lol. True. But as we're talking Yuletide, and I'm telling actual Yuletide stories a little bit, a certain wanderer who totally did not look like Odin, but was known to wander people's campsites and homes and see. Think that was me in March. Oh. But I was visited by Brian K. Morris, who brought me out an amazing mask when everything hit the fan. Because we kind of made arrangements. He's a very good guy, and Steve visited me. That might have been March too. Come to think of it, I will tell you, all 5 years of 2020 thus far have blurred my memory and my mind. It's just I am awash with uh dealing with oh wow dealing with the onslaught of interesting data and good, bad, and different events, and the lack of sugar and water. But we make it work. So yes, I will definitely be floating that by Amanda and letting her know about that, and we'll go from there. Whew. Wow, this has just been, guys. This has been the kind of week where nothing quite makes sense. I'm going to tell you, Steve, you need to look up the Stupid O'Clock guys. They're a bunch of wonderful people from Tennessee, and that region. There are some really, guys. Our people are down there. Like, I don't want to drop names, but our people are. There's some really neat people down there. And I was actually hounding a gentleman by the name of Daniel L. Hollyfield, who's an author and a bunch of other things. He's been around forever, ex-SCA, wonderful fella. But I was up till 3 talking with this guy, and he grew up in that neck of the woods, just post World War II. Really neat guy, Newsom. Had some great stories, and I told him he needs to write that down, because I'm really reaching out to the people I know who have historical perspective. So people like my father, people like him, veterans especially, because there needs to be a preservation of the truth, and there needs to be a preservation of skill sets. So people like John Miner, like you, Steve, who have established some unique and fascinating skill sets. And this isn't all martial. I mean, obviously, I'll talk martial skill sets for days, and I still want to someday put John Miner and Steve Clausen on a list field, sit back with some coffee, and watch that stuff go. That's going to be like sometime post the big C shot. I'm going to have a wonderful a wonderful I have the sensation of, have you ever gotten mixed up into some fiberglass and you get these endless little shards? That's what it feels like. But I don't have any in me, but I feel like I have them in me thanks to the side effect of all the electricity I endured today. So yeah, pardon me if I just twitch a little bit. I'm literally arcing across my own hand. One of these days, I'm just going to get a grounding strip and wear it for about a week and see if the Nick field turns off. Yay, paresthesia! Yes, that stuff. Sydney kept wrote a word. Yay, paresthesia. Now, it's not that I don't understand the word. And it's not that I can't read or write it or even sort of say it. It's that my speech impediment really, that STH, it just wants to get in there and just rumble through it. Oh, my wife had me try to say a word, and I don't remember what it was. But the word turned to gravel in my mouth. Like, I went to say it, and it's a... Yeah, whatever. Yes, Greek has... I studied Latin. Greek is still Greek to me. I can't. I mean, you know what, Cindy? Anyone else, I probably might have hesitated to make that joke in their general direction, but I know you can comfortably handle that. But yeah, wow. Okay, like I said, this is a very unorganized week because honestly, I didn't even know if I'd be this upright, and I'm still like side affecting really colorfully while I deal with this. So we're just gonna see. You're getting to see a non-caffeinated because I'm day 2 without any significant caffeine. Nick, I'm just like Jesse trying to say equestrian. Oh god, guys, I've known a lot of people and I've lost quite a few. There are few people I genuinely miss that I feel their absence both in my life and in the world as much as Jesse Tibbetts. He truly was one of the best of us. He was a brilliant lunatic. I mean, he might have been the last true druid. He was something. I don't know what. You have to imagine a human version of the Sheriff of Nottingham from Disney's Robin Hood. So like the little foxes where the wolf is the Sheriff of Nottingham. And he sounded remarkably like the sheriff. We have well what we would call what you'd call non-complimentary speech impediments in that I can't willfully impersonate Jesse Tibbetts because his speech impediment is a set of sounds that won't come out of me. But it was that kind of squeaking back at the voice sound, and it, like he'd grin and his teeth would come out this big. Great fun. I learned a lot of armoring from Jess. I learned a lot of fighting from John, and I learned a lot of armoring from Jess. And I'm sorry, I am cooking in this hoodie. So the shirt I'm wearing is referencing the oh god, not hierarchy. Well, ancestry of dragons. It's a really neat. It's a breakdown of dragons and their subsets and evolution. Their evolution of dragons crossed with Barney 5. Absolutely. Okay. Jesse. No. I think I got this. It's Jesse was the Sheriff of Nottingham, Disney Sheriff of Nottingham, crossed with Barney 5. With a touch of John Aston, like the guy who played Gomez. Seriously, because like there was a manic glee about that man. And if I can manage to make people a tenth of as happy and smiling as Squire Jess did, did he ever get knighted? I can't remember. If he did it, he should have been at least knighted posthumously. He was that good. But wonderful man. Wonderful man. Now, and that's what we guys should be. What you want to find is a light in the dark. And if you're in the dark and you can't find a light, congratulations, you've been nominated to be a light in the dark. And even if it's dim, that's okay. Because when you find a brighter light, nobody will notice you anyway. And that's okay. That's my job. My gig is always to be a little shallow light in the dark, like the light version of this. I will say proudly, this is one of those knives that I love dearly, but I give it the Kit Ray clause in that I am not comfortable carrying it because I could easily do a mischief to myself because the trigger is rather hair. The blade is sharper than you'd expect, and it likes to open of its own accord. You know, it's one of those malicious, scary knives that just goes off when nobody's looking. Just be comfortable in the dark. Steve, there are many things that will happen, and there are many likelihoods. Me ever being comfortable in the dark is a bad thing for the universe. I am not. If I am in the dark, I am doing a job I don't want to do, realizing I'm not alone because, There's an old saying that says, don't be scared of the dark. The only thing that's there is what you bring with it. Well, friends, I got some baggage when it comes to pitch black. So, no, I don't ever, the level of situation that it takes for me to comfortably be in the dark usually means something's getting done. The phrases like, cut fence and sort some things out start coming out. This is nah. I'd far rather glow in the dark. We do. You know what? Cindy Kemp says glow in the dark, and not only is she right, we actually, all humans are bioluminescent. It's just too dim for us to see. Isn't that interesting? That's weird. But I saw that. I can't remember where, but it was a plausible source, and I find that fascinating. It's sort of like the fact that duckbill platypi glow green under blacklight. That's interesting. I love stuff like that. The whole, you want proof that God has a sense of humor? Look at the duckbill platypus. You want proof that God loves his creations and wants it safe? Take note that it's venomous. But yeah, guys, this is good. Real soon. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do my end of year analysis. I'll look over the videos and I'll see which ones got the most hits, and that will influence next year's stuff. I'm really excited because if John's writing the grimoire of Swakhammer medals and things, hopefully at some point he'll be in a position to get it published, and if he doesn't do it through short, close means or something like KDP, I can recommend some people. Brian K. Morse. And I'll be happy to plug it. I know Steve Clausen has some amazing stuff. And Cindy Kemp, I believe Cindy Kemp aspires to someday be the next Robert Patterson and annoy librarians when they have to go, oh God, there's another one. I have to figure out where it goes. So that's what we want. We'll build each other up. And I think everybody can reach the certain goals and certain dreams that we have. But it's better if we do it together. And we're going to work on that. So I'm expecting to do a lot more. I'm basically rearranging my home right now. And it's a very slow process because we've had projects come up, real world, But I'm going to have some new resources. I'm going to have a different approach. I want to get a little more professional with some of these videos because, I know, for example, there's a certain video series that Steve would like me to run. I would be happy to do it. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right by him. And I want to eventually get back to where I can do the original plan for this channel, which is both being a resource for the fencers who come out to fight, to review their own bouts and get better, and for demonstrators, people like Steve. Like, I'd love to get Ryan Coker back to do a formal Meyer instruction. I think that would be interesting. John Miner can do a whole lot of instruction. I'd like to bring Mandy and Trelena back because I was just setting up to have a regular female perspective on swordplay video series where all I did is be the guy behind the camera and let some of the ladies come out and speak about their views, their experiences, their perspectives in Western and Eastern martial arts, because I think it needs to be discussed, and it's an angle that's important. The problem I find, and this is going to sound odd, but in a lot of my interests in the gaming field, in a lot of the HEMA and Western martial arts stuff, in paranormal research type stuff, I see people who look like me. Like, it's kind of eerie. The overweight white guy with a goatee is talking about stuff. And heaven help me, that's not what I'm about. I want everybody. So I'm really hoping to eventually be able to get set up where I can have guests properly and have, somebody like Cindy Kep come and talk about her experiences. Have John, have Steve. I want you guys to meet the people that I know in more than the avatars they have. So, I got to take a minute because it is the hour, and every time on the hour, I plug. Where did I set it? The Simple Sword. So I need to plug for the folks who are keeping the lights on. Oh, that's the back. Whoop. The Simple Sword by Nicholas A. Tucker. Cindy just got done with it, and she gave me some pointers to improve the next edition, which will come out after I get the strong sword done. I want to do the axe, I want to do the strong sword, and then in a year or two, I want to do a new edition, because some of the makers, like the plastic weapons, have just skyrocketed in HEMA, and new groups are forming left and right. And I think once we pop the bubble of quarantine and people want to interact, we're going to have a lot more of that. Plus, we have things I never thought I'd see, like the French International Fencing Organization, French, was it? FIE, anyway. They have a lightsaber competition. The combat sabers have both been sturdy enough that you can use them, and that they've been developing the style enough to be viable lightsaber fencing matches that are watched and recognized. We're in the holy days. Ooh, I just found out some insider stuff that I can't talk about. Ooh. But while I'm drooling over things I can't tell you yet, wow, we're looking at next week being an exciting manner of Friday. I'm not quite sure the mechanics of how I'm going to make all this work, but I got some ideas. I'm just going to have to hoof it this week as soon as I can grab things again, because I'll do fine, and then I get the shock, and then my hands don't work. But that's okay. Better times are coming, and I'm going to work through it, because I am. Guys, it's not that I'm strong, because I'm not. It's not that I'm brave, because I'm not. It's that I'm too dang stubborn to stop. And that's kind of what I'm about. And let's build that up, because there's a lot of power. But I got distracted. The Historical Fencing Guild is literally brought to you by the sales of the Simple Sword. It is also brought to you by some amazing, amazing people like Steve Augusto, Cindy Kep, Brian K. Morris. I mean, this is a powerhouse. And my external supporters, John Miner of Swakhammer Metals, who just sent me something that I can't show you yet because I'm showing it to the patrons first. And the amazing Steve Clausen of, I can't tell you yet because I know stuff. Basically, a lot of people I know are on this cusp, okay, of really cool stuff. And as soon as they hit the next level of cusp of things, I get to talk about it. But until then, I can't. So, I want to thank them and thank you guys for watching. Like this video if you're enjoying this at all. If you're not, get on the comment, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Ask a question. This is supposed to be interactive. If I wanted to just blab at the screen for a while, I wouldn't make it live. And I lost a viewer. Well, that happens, folks. Some people aren't used to being called out, but that's what I'm all about. So, I mentioned lightsabers. I want to talk for a second, okay? Because this all folds in, so bear with me. I've not seen this week's Mandalorian. That's what I get to watch after this. I get to knock back a Mountain Dew, probably, and I get to watch The Mandalorian for this week. But last week, they featured a major player in the Star Wars universe. And they're a bit more really neat double sword versus spear fencing bout, essentially. It was a choreographed fight. Now, I'm seeing a lot of arguments. This came up at the end of Rebels. There's a Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight, which, if you ask me about Star Wars, it's probably my favorite fight of all time. Now, that contradicts the complete opposite philosophy, and still a great fight, the Ahsoka Darth Maul fight. But what they keep coming it down to is, oh, it's not exciting, it's not dramatic. And there was this whole movement to upgrade the get back into the old Star Wars movies and upgrade the lightsaber bout between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Now, this is interesting, but I want single or double axe. Yes, please. I think I'm more of a single axe guy because I'm still practical and I like to be able to do the bushcraft with it. But we'll have to see on that one. Well, let's be honest, John. I love a little tomahawk on my belt, and I don't care how period it is. A good tomahawk's a beautiful thing because when the handle breaks, I can just whittle a new one out of a branch, possibly with the tomahawk head if I have to. But what I want to get into is what we're starting to see is something I think is beautiful, and that's older fighters. This may shock some viewers, but would you believe that people who live in a dangerous profession sometimes become old? They become gray. They become gimpy. And something happens. And it's a strange, strange thing. Showiness starts to go away. Bravado starts to fade out to a simple, calm confidence. And what do you get when these type of creatures engage in combat? Something, youth is about power and speed and dexterity. Mastery is about understanding and efficiency. It isn't what all I can do. It's being able to do one thing, have it solve the problem. Exactly, Syndicap. Economy of motion. And what you're starting to see more and more is as they depict, like Jedi especially, they're like, oh, they're not flipping through the air for budget constraints. Guys, they could do it. They could CGI it. They could do stunt doubles, whatever, to make it go. But it's why did you go there, boy? John knows. But the old age, and John's jumping me to old age and treachery. But that's what it is. There's an efficiency, and it's beyond a confidence. It's not belief. It's core knowledge. There's acceptance. When you have reached a point where you are intimately aware of your abilities, you know what you can and cannot do. And do you know what happens? Now, it sounds contradictory to me building people up. This is not a build-up. This is an honest assessment. You do what you can with what you have, and then you don't do anything else. And we're seeing that slowly creeping into fight choreography. Old men don't fight like young boys. They don't fight like young men. They're not going to be out there tiring themselves off doing all this swirling crap. Except maybe Doug Marcaida, but I'm not sure he's human. Yeah, we got old for a reason. This is good, guys. And this is part of where, fandoms need to start realizing if you want any aspect of realism, you have to look at the real concepts. Aging and disability are real things that affect martial artists. Okay? Now, it's not always at the same rate. There are some people blessed with between genetics and good health practices and situation that are very equally capable as they get older. And then there's some of us like me who looks like an anatomy test of what could get busted doing stupid stuff because I had a rather eclectic youth, and I'm dealing with those consequences. And if you watch when I go out and fight, John is referencing Michael Longcore's Swordsman's Dance of Death, which one of these days I'll bring up a link and I might share the link to the Historical Fencing Guild public group for the folks who haven't heard it. It is a telling, wonderful tale of blood, guts, and veins in our teeth, and it expresses my point far more eloquently than I do. But what's neat is we're seeing that, okay? Like, it's the anti-Yoda effect. When Yoda took out his lightsaber the first time, we went all, and then he went spinning like a buzzsaw. And it hurt on a level until you realize he wasn't using physical, he was just diving into the Force to do it. I get that. But I like seeing characters who are aging fight like they're aged. Because I'm going to tell you something. Hollywood often and media worships youth. Largely because youth spends its money kind of dumb and can be persuaded to do silly things with their money much more readily than the older crowd can. Usually. Now, red green's going to appear the way I'm talking, but that's okay. I have duct tape. But how many houses fell on your friend? Well, you're my friend, John, and several, and at least one of them was inappropriately arcane, but that's okay too. You've made it. Now, I will say this in response. There are some people I know who, if a house fell from the sky upon, I would not mourn heavily. That's not very nice, but it's also true, and I'd rather be true than nice with most things. But guys, we got to build each other up, and part of building each other up, and part of knowing what you can do when you're dealing with a limitation is knowing where your real limitations are. I'm not saying where it's the strain of growth. That's different, okay? When you reach a certain age, you learn the difference between what I call good pain and bad pain. I'm not talking about that, John. I don't know anything about houses hitting you. But when we have good pain is the pain that, okay, when you're working out and you're building your muscle and there's a burn because you've healthfully, you're at the tear down part that you'll build up more strength in recovery. That's a good pain. When you feel muscle pulling, tearing, etc., that's a bad pain. And again, how do you learn this? Experience. So what happens is, as we age, if we stay active, we learn, okay, I'm feeling a little sore. This means I have this long before I need water, this long before I need rest. I have the experience and the wherewithal to know my limitations. I know that's a bad pain. That means if I don't stop right now, my knee is going to go out. And, you sit down and you deal with that. That's maturity. That's understanding. Then there's also the time where I'm understanding that a real world situation may cause me to have to do something now that means I won't walk well later. And in some cases, I may never walk right again. But understanding the necessity of the sacrifice is what makes it valid. You're not walking blind. You're not walking with bravado. And this is slowly being integrated into choreography. So writers, creators, keep that in mind. Uh, uh, old, older, experienced people do things like they shoot less because they know what they're not going to shoot when they know they won't hit. Okay, they're not going to waste the ammo unless there's a reason for it, suppression or something. Uh, they're not going to attack when they can't gain an advantage. And when they do attack, they're going to attack with everything they have right now. Because that's what experience brings you. And the thing about experienced fighters, the really good ones, you either get an exquisite bout out of them. You either get when you have two well-matched experienced fighters, you either get a dazzling display of move and counter move in whatever they're doing, fencing, racing, whatever, or you get a quick draw contest. You get something that's very focused, it's hyper focused, it's hyper prepared, and then it's over. They don't muck about in between very much. And that's what I'm seeing depicted. And here's the thing. People my age, were brought up on certain films, I was brought up on the old Zorro movies. The classic black and white. Dun, 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 dun. It's one notch from Lone Ranger, except he's back when he still used swords before he went all whip and gun. But classic Zorro movies, and then the Mask of Zorro, the Mark of Zorro, Antonio Banderas, But who do I identify with in those movies? My man De Vega, the old fighter, the original Zorro. Why? Why do I identify with that? Because I understand what walking through the gate of injury does. There are a lot of gates we go through, and we go through them cyclically. My probably favorite to walk through is the gate of the fool. Walking through the gate of the fool to get through that gate in progress is to admit that you know nothing. And that sounds really odd. I'm sitting here, I take the term swordmaster. I can teach a newbie how to fight. I can build people up who've never had it. But at the end of the day, I'll walk in, I'll look at a manual and go, I know nothing because I need to learn. I need to fill an empty cup. And then you build past that and you go through other gates, other challenges to test your progress. And the gate of the fool for me will always be one of the most important ones to cross because it requires honest assessment and humility. And one of the hardest things is the version of that understand humility as you age, where I can't do what I once did. I used to be able to throw dozens of shots a minute. I was fast. I am not now. But at the same time, I don't need to. I don't need to open up with a barrage of speed and aggression. I've gone somewhere else with that. And that's where where we're going. And when you see that, it's neat because if you're telling the story of a fighter, especially over time, when they're young, they should either fight with extreme hesitance or extreme bravado, because this is people coming into Western martial arts, I have found, usually are in one of those two camps. They either have absolute hesitance and they're cautious, or I'm jumping in your shorts, I'm going to hack the heck out of you, I'm going to axe you now, axe you later, let's go. Calibration issues. And they both these kind of core approaches as a newbie influence their fighting style, and it influences the trajectory of their growth. Now, if you're once there's a point of competency where they almost intersect. They may be more, though there's aggressive fighters, there's more defensive fighters. I talk in the book about classes, and that's one thing you will find in the simple sword that you don't find in most manuals. A good portion, and I think Cindy Cap can appreciate this, is actually dedicated to analyzing your opponent, because that's something we need to do. It's not just about us. This is an engagement of two or more people, and being able to look at your opponent and from their body language, their equipment, their style, both, in combat and in just locomotion, analyze that person's an aggressive. He's going to jump first. That's a defensive person. They're kind of hanging back with their shield. They're going to come by. That guy's got an itchy foot looking to flank. Bam, bam, bam. I now know what I'm dealing with this group of people, so I know how to, how I'm going to engage. Am I want to make sure that I am always flanking in such a way that they trip over each other if at all possible. Or, if, you want to be able to counter the approach of the individual. Because if you have two defensive fighters, you'll get something like the famous Jim and Trey bouts. Bucklers, Trey's buckler, Jim's sword, shield. Sword up. So how you doing? They're squared off. They're engaged in each other. And nobody wants to make the first move. In part because the first one to flinch loses. And then you have people who are just, these are going to go. My buddy Jason, bless his black little heart. Steve's another one. Victor. Yes. Mental chess. When people say it, one of my favorite sword fight scenes is in the movie Hero. I think it's The Hero or Hero with Jet Li. Great film. There's a whole sequence where they're staring at each other, and they're looking at each other, and then there's dynamic battle, and then at the end of it, they cut back, and no time has passed. The fight hasn't started. One of them goes, "You got this," and basically cuts out. Yeah, yes, John, unless they deceive you. But there will always be room for deception, absolutely. But what you need, if you let yourself be scared of being deceived, you'll never act. You need to be constantly aware that can happen and change their profile. Because you're an ambush predator, John. I've watched you too much. You are the king of short shanking your own shots. Oh, I can't hit you. Oh, we're fencing. I can't hit you. I can't. Okay, I now know your range. Now I'm going to extend a mile and point you. I've seen you do it, John. Not trying to bust out your secrets here, but, if you're going to put it there where I'm not going to fully extend, I'm going to do my thing, but never fully extend. And then I fully extend, put a step into it, and, that shot comes in like an ICBM. Or the whole tink, boink, slit, situation where suddenly they forget that you can reach much farther. If you have, what you're doing is sandbagging, you're keeping something in your arsenal. That's old guy fighting. Old guy fighting isn't going to play all his cards. Man, no. I'm going to see if I can beat you with a pair. I got a single pair. I'm going to lay that down. Is that enough to beat you? No? Well, what if I told you I have 3 of a kind? No? What if I told you I have 4 of a kind? Oh, man, what do you have? The wild card, 5 of a kind. It's impossible, but I just didn't have fun. That whole, Or I'm just going to throw a couple cards. You think you can beat that, except it's an inside straight, you know? That, and I know it's not mental, that's not mental chess, but there's a luck element too. It's interesting. If you can, Steve, if you kick them over, it's easier to stab them. That's great, and that's big guy thinking. The danger with big guy thinking is it's big fish thinking, and there's always a bigger fish. Or there's somebody who you think you can kick over, you should be able to kick over, and they just don't do it. I've had many opponents take that attitude with me. And they might beat me, but by the time they do it, they are so frustrated because they missed by this much. When I was mobile, I'm not going to take a big step. I don't need to waste that energy. I find their reach, I'm going to move just enough. Minimal effort, maximum gains. Efficient fighting. But, you know, I was never the big guy, so I didn't learn the big guy. The big guy breach is a good way of looking at it. You know, this is the big guy I want. That thinks it's an immovable object. I'm an unstoppable force. Let's say hi. And I'm going to pull out my size 16 Budo Death, you know, and apply force, you know. That's the thing. That's what, and if you're big enough and you can pull it off and you have the experience to time it, absolutely. But there is a look when somebody goes to kick you and you catch their foot, that suddenly a game changes. The world recalibrates in crystalline clarity. And they realize that. And I don't want my newer students, because remember, I always gear towards the newer students, or the ones who are building back up. Because, guys, if you want to chase the absolute fine, you've put in the hours, you're going to get your own look at the manuals, and you're going to study the more ornate techniques. You're going to decide, is this for me? Is this not? Is this approach for me? Is it not? I don't claim to be, I am the guy who will bring the mastery of all things, the secret art of the sword. I'm like, no, I'm the guy who's going to give you the means to discuss the sword, to learn the basics, and whatever happens, no matter how far out, you can always come back to the basics. It's home base. It's this. It's a fat guy dancing like this. Whatever else people want to do, doesn't matter. I can come back to this and it works. Whatever music I'm listening to, I can come back to this and it works. That guy happy dance. That guy happy dance. You know? Your foot should never be high enough to be grabbed. Well, you see, tall guys underestimate my height. Oops, missed right. You get cut in half with a draw cut. Yes. And see, that's old age and treachery. Maybe you missed on purpose. Maybe they dodged it, but you just smile because you can make it look like it was all planned. And one thing about old age and treachery is the huge level of subtle BS you are putting out through your actions. You almost got me. You know, you're like the old, that commercial, the old guy with the dollar bill hanging out. Whoop, whoop, almost got it. Try a little harder. Yeah, so that's what I want to build, because I can't build people taller, okay? I don't have the ability to go, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, wait, here, do it right, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, you know, Wizzo style, and suddenly everybody's 6 foot tall with ungodly reach. I got to work with people working around that. Some people don't know how to use it, or are afraid to use it. I have a buddy who gives me the Superman cardboard world speech. You know, how careful they need to be. And I'm like, that's why you need to learn to fight, so that you can learn to be not careful. Because calibration is, believe it or not, as much knowing how hard to hit as how hard not to hit. How much energy to devote to anything, you know? Whether it's the whole CPI, if I'm doing an arm transition, I need enough force to take your arm, put it around behind the back, right? Really smooth kind of arm bar. I don't want to be so weak that I can't make that transition. I don't want to be so strong that I get too close to your elbow and, invert a hinge joint, which that's a great thing to do in self-defense if you want to cripple someone, which I don't advise, but it does work. If you can make any hinge joint bend on an axis that it's not supposed to, it does tend to persuade people not to do what they're doing. But calibration is a range. It's not flat. It's not a single value. It's an absolute value. From this soft to this hard is acceptable, and being able to control that and adjust it, because there are some people who, for whatever reason, wouldn't be able to feel stuff like that. And yes, you talk about foot should never be high enough to be grabbed. I've known way too many. I was raised in the era of not only Karate Kid, but Taekwondo being on every single street corner, and so many snap kicks, so many aerial high kicks, because they're cool. And I'll admit, I got a snap kick once to the kidney from behind in high school. I'll never forget, because I nearly wet myself. It was pain. It was unsolicited. They thought it was funny. The second time they did it, I stepped in and cut the leg. Then we had a discussion with them hopping backwards about what civility means and what an elbow drop to their kneecap would do to them if I were so inclined. But, so yeah. But then again, you guys know me. Kicking is not something I do. Like, period. I'm gimpy. I need, I'm a three-legged dog at this point, I've got to have my cane and 2 feet on the ground a lot of the time. It's part of why I don't like lunges. They off-balance me. Oh, I am such a tree anymore. I'm not Jim. Jim is a rock. He can be mobile and roll like a landslide, but, watching him clank. And Jim and Joe both went through corona, through the danger virus, and they're doing okay, guys, but I was worried about them. Oh, I would fall on my rear trying to do. Could you imagine my fat marshmallow shaped hobbit self trying to do a jump kick of any type? No. Nope, buddy. I am way too, I am earth and water. I am mud. I have no business being aerial. I have friends that do. But yeah, no. Yeah. And that's interesting, because that being said, I have met some people who are living flechettes. Like, please stop launching yourself behind your sword at people. The calibration gets a little difficult, and recovery is bad. Let's not do that. They go, pew! They shoot like a bullet and bounce through the air, I've had a few of them. And, my response usually is to step just out of range and let them be pretty. Enjoy the show. What are you doing? Not a thing till you're back in range. Because the more people get showy, the more the basics are a good idea. If somebody, that's a loving joke among some of my people, especially Trey, where, if Nick takes a weird stance, back up till he gets out of it. Somebody's doing something, I don't know what they're doing. Nope. I have no reason to engage unless I absolutely have to. And that's the thing. You choose the flow of your battle, if at all possible. It maddens people. Hit me! No. Why? Because you're going to block it. Hit me! No. Hit plunk! Oh, there you go. Cheers. Flying through the air with the greatest of ease, with plates full of cheese. Okay, Cindy Cat, now you made me hungry, because I do like some cheese. But we have, but yeah, practicality. And if I'm using a sword, I prefer to fight with the sword. You know, there have been times where with some of the more colorful bouts, I'm like, okay. And a beautifully executed pivot spin kick. High cut, curl in, that foot comes screaming up. And it's just like, and the blade comes out and catches him along the ankle. Weep! And now, you know, if I do it right, I might get your Achilles tendon on the way. You aren't doing anything except maybe hopping along, and I'll leg them and leave them any day of the week, folks. Melee rules and Nick are not nice. What'd you do? I legged him. What'd you do? Left. Well, crawl after me. You go right ahead. I'm going to be out of crawling distance because I don't like dealing with anything shorter than me on the field anyway. Nope, no. You know, something that I have to look up and be like, "Hi, John." You know, "Hi, John." And I'm going to be down here for a bit because I just realized I don't have the hips to get up right now. So that's cool. My legs have been tap dancing all on their own for the whole of the show, and we're just going to let that keep going. Whew, there it is. Anyway, we gotta take. Don't be afraid to embrace reality. And I love superhero shows. I absolutely do. I'll be honest. We just got done watching Agent Carter. Marvel's Agent Carter. Oh God, was that a beautiful show? It was a beautiful show, even though they had some silly superheroics. But what I liked is they also had reasonably practical guys fighting reasonably practically as well. And even though a lot of it there was some crazy because, you know, they brought in Bridget Regan. And if you don't know who Bridget Regan is, she's one of my favorite action actresses, usually in television. She played, we'll say, Dottie Underwood. She basically played someone in the same program as Black Widow was in. And she also is better known as the Confessor from Secret of Truth. Gall. Now I can't think. I can tell you all about the show, but I can't think of the proper name. But you know, Richard Cypher, everybody would jump up and do the stupid. I'm going to present my abs to be gutted before I do a hard cut. Hurt my soul. Bridget, however, fought beautifully, double dagger usually. And, you know, I have a soft spot for attractive women with functional weaponry. But even when she's doing the crazy wall walking and that, it's not insane. It's a little bit of wire fu, but it's peppered in wire fu, you know? It reminded me a lot of early Jackie Chan when they'd find every reason for him to do his little wall hop thing before he like shattered all his bones and couldn't do it. There we go. It didn't occur to me till just now. The perfect example of adapting with age. My man, hero to anybody who loves stunts, martial arts, or just great fun film and singing in Chinese, Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, if you watch his early films, had a set of stunts he'd do every time. This like the crazy wall jump up the corners and go. The stuff he pulled while he was training was so high under the Drunken Master series. Great, excellent martial art movies. But as he's aged, he hasn't stopped doing martial arts. He just fights slightly different. He's adapted to the fact that his ankles have been shattered. He's adapted to the fact that he's got enough broken bones that he's got to feel it a few days out from the ring, you know? And he's changed his style a bit. He's still doing action. He's still doing martial arts. He's still putting on a great show, but it's slightly more mature and controlled. Now, John says, kick blocks work well on low strikes, but there's nothing that says you can't step on a sword once it's out of the way, stab in the throat. Absolutely. If they're dumb enough to let you step on a sword, they deserve to have you do it. It is rough on the equipment. So I will put the caveat on that because And I will also put a further caveat that if they're using something like a foil, it's dangerous. But it's fun if you can pull it off. Woo! So, yeah, I forgot to mention that all the electroshocks I've been fighting hiccups regularly. Okay. But sorry, it's like I have to periodically try to put everything back now that the spasms have mostly let up. Thank you for being with me while I had to sit here and deal with that. I hope I didn't contort too much, but I'm starting to get the majority of my motion back for the day. I will, of course, at some point you will see me in the near future with a double set of bracer type, you know, supports that it won't take me long to tinker with because it's me. You know, if I have to wear equipment, I'm gonna at least try to ninja in an upgrade or two. Because I had a design, and I'm danged if I didn't see bits of it on of all things Star Wars Rebels. But that's okay because I'm gonna put it in anyway. Uh, but yeah, now kicks I'm not a big fan of. Now I will do a sort of sweep into a kick,